Yeah, I figured it. She just texted. She goes, "I have the best Wi-Fi because I'm a gamer." No, I don't see the open. I love the NWSL live show. Oh, I see offline, but I can just hit the green arrow, Jordy, for the chat. Oh, no, you're right. Never mind. Sorry. Do you see the chat, Jeff? No, we don't have that. It's because it says you're offline, Dana. This is what we call fashionably late. So it's fun. We keep the fans guessing. Yeah, I don't think. Wait. Okay. Are you just highlighting your thing and? Okay, chat's in there. I see the. Engage business, okay? We don't have Allie.
Welcome everybody to your Monday evening NWSL Live. So excited you guys could join us. I'm Jordan Angeli, and we made it. Sometimes Mondays get to you. Sorry we're about a few minutes late here, but you got to leave it to us here on the technological side to give you guys something a little different, right? So I'm going to welcome in, as always, Lori Lindsey, Jeff Kassouf, who are going to be joining me throughout the entirety of this show. Guys, it's a good Monday. It's good to see you both. Lori's upgraded her background, and you really held it down last week, Lori, without us. Thank you.
You know, I do what I can, everybody. Listen, it was a one-woman show. That was quite the scene and quite the show. But honestly, great guests.
Yeah,
with Tony Presley and Allie Riley. They were wonderful.
And a really big announcement from them. They were on I Am Athlete podcast. So make sure you go and tune into that. Lori got to chat with them about that before it was out today. So Jeff, how you doing? You almost made it through the Challenge Cup.
I am better. Thank you. Yeah. Lori did great holding it down. I was a last minute scratch, injured in warm-ups maybe. So
right. Yeah, it was, I mean, last Monday,
right off that team sheet.
Pick your poison, right? It was all the things that happened. We just want to make an announcement too. First off, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this show, NWSL Live will be moving to Tuesday nights through the entirety of the 2021 season. So make sure you guys make that note in your mental calendars. Maybe even put it in your phone. I don't know. Maybe you're really that invested. We appreciate that. But we're moving to Tuesday nights, 5 p.m. throughout regular season to really recap and get everything ready for you guys after all these busy weekends that was just announced. So we'll get to the schedule in a little while. But before we go, Lori, sorry. I need to make sure we all get to see Lori Lindsey's
heat check
gear. Ooh, Challenge Cup gear is available. Lori is our model today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Lori, do you want to tell everybody the specs of the sweatshirt? Anything unique about the hoodie that you're really digging?
Well, listen, it is extremely comfortable. I mean, I'm into it, right? I am into it. I just got home from calling games, and this was in the mail, and I couldn't be happier. And listen, fans, grab this gear because it is comfy. It's going to be vintage soon.
Oh, wow. Threw it out there.
Next Saturday afternoon. So listen, it's in. Get it. There's a lot of different options too. It's not just the sweatshirt. You get t-shirts and all that jazz.
So you have gear. Jeff also was showing off some gear, trying to make sure he felt included there.
Listen, you wanna make the show, you got my address. This is a sharp kit.
Yeah, what do you think in real life?
Oh, it's nice. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of purple. So, I mean, this is a kind of a split deal, but happy to have two purple teams in the league. Haven't heard anything from Louisville yet, but, you know.
No one has.
Got my contact. And I still want to see
a few times.
I still want to see a mint green jersey from Louisville at some point.
Me too. I'm very, very much about that. It's interesting how we now have two purple teams and we have two teams with like this lighter teal color that mint, and then with Kansas City they're teal. And
I hope they embrace it too. We need a green team.
Orange. Yeah. We might need yellow, like all yellow. Maybe that's just my bias. But
I'd be into yellow. I would like that too.
Okay, you guys, before we get into our main guest today and some info about what's coming up on Saturday, Challenge Cup final on May 8th, we are going to just recap. We're going to do 3 things that we took out of this last week. And we're going to start with really every team got to play this week, which was exciting. I think the weeks before in Challenge Cup, we hadn't seen every single team play. So 5 of those 6 games we saw this week ended in a draw. There were goals. And one of the things that stuck out to me, Jeff, I'm going to come to you with this first 3 things. The defending champs of the Challenge Cup, Houston, go unbeaten, but miss the final. What were your thoughts about Houston overall?
Yeah, I think Houston picked up where they left off in the Challenge Cup and Fall Series last year. Both coaches post-game last night thought, obviously they're a bit biased, but thought it was the best game of soccer from both teams in this Challenge Cup. And, I think they have a point. That's the first of 5 scheduled meetings, 3 of them in the regular season, 2 of those in October, right, heading into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And, it could both acknowledge be a playoff game at some point for a 6th meeting of the year, which 1 is a lot, but 2, I think could very much be a preview of, 2 of the better teams in the league, certainly from what we saw in 2020. So, I think that was, there have been very entertaining games otherwise in this cup. I wouldn't say that there were like good defended game, well defended or anything, but that was a well put together game from both teams that could have been, a late regular season game.
Rebuttal on that really quick, Lori. Do you feel like the defense is something in this league that comes on a little bit later? It's something that they're working on these final touches into who they're going to be defensively. And maybe as the season progresses, we see some more stout defenses.
That's a good question. I think it actually really just depends on each team. The 2 teams that Jeff was just talking about with Portland and Houston, I think they're actually really solid currently defensively. We knew Houston that's their game plan. I mean, James Clarkson, that hasn't been a secret. He has been clean sheet after clean sheet. That will win us championships. It's not the only thing, but that will be a major aspect, right? And was happy the way his team played, missing half their lineup earlier on in the Challenge Cup. And then in the East Division, we saw North Carolina that we're not used to accustomed seeing give up goals, right? Orlando Pride early on in the tournament as well, and they've made some adjustments and gotten back on track. So I think there's some teams that have just depends right now. But for that Portland and Houston game, the last thing I'll say about that is I was impressed with Houston's offense, but not as much as Portland, especially going into the championship. With the quality of play and the players that they have, I will be interested what happens this weekend in terms of their actual identity and their game plan. Yeah. Because I just think there has to be something more. And it's early, right? And it's the 2nd game, but these players have been playing together. Yeah. Outside of Crystal Dunn, these players have been there. So
yeah. Well, we're gonna give you a lot of chance to talk about Gotham. We're gonna talk about Portland later on in the show. But I'm gonna go back to you, Lori, because you mentioned North Carolina in that conversation that you were just having. North Carolina, one of my other 3 things. So close, but they couldn't pull the win through. I think for everybody, you just mentioned, this is not a North Carolina team that we've seen in a while. What are your thoughts about where they're at and where they're headed?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a fun team to watch, though. And if Gotham had lost, I mean, they were still very much in going to, could have really gone to the final, regardless of how poor we thought they have been compared to the standards they have set in this league. And so, yes, my favorite quote from this past week from Paul Riley is, "We have more holes than a golf course." So in some ways, it's true. Also, they're fighting through some injuries, they're trying to figure out some different things. I think midfield is an interesting one. Really, for me, is the area I think they need to kind of tighten up the most.
Right.
But I think, a couple weeks before the start of the season and within the next month, I think we're going to see some big changes with that squad.
Okay, the last thing of our three things, I'm going back to you, Jeff. OL Reign get their first win of the season earlier on last week. They play a game again tonight. What were your thoughts of that performance from OL Reign?
Yeah, I thought, encouraging, one, that just there were goals to be had in that game. I mean, we've talked on this show. We've talked on this show about, needing to see that team and what their identity is. And I think just for them to score 3 is something that they absolutely needed.
Yeah.
So, that was something, just from that perspective, getting off of that scoreless, winless schneid.
Right. All right. Well, there's much more to be talked about with all the teams. Again, we're going to recap and talk about the final Saturday, May 8th. It's going to be Portland Thorns, Gotham FC. I think everybody's excited about this. And one of the people that's probably excited is Gotham FC's newest member, Allie Long, and she will be with us right after this break. So stick around. We'll be back with Allie Long.
I am dying.
Welcome back, everybody, to NWSL Live. I'm Jordan Angeli, and I am so excited to have joining us now one of my former teammates, one of the funniest people I think you'll ever met, and the newest member of Gotham FC, Allie Long, is joining us now. In a second, maybe. Allie, it's so good to see you. You know what's funny about this, Allie? You are one of the biggest gamers in the world, and everybody gives me crap about my internet. My internet's working today, and it's you who has to run to your car to be able to connect. So first of all, thank you for connecting, but it's pretty funny, right?
Well, you're probably sucking all of my internet. That's what's going on here.
Hey, shh. Hey. But congrats,
Sorry.
you're back at
Thank
home
you.
playing now for Gotham FC. It was big news last week. How did this trade transpire, and was it something you were hopeful for a while to be back near home?
I kind of Well, hi, thank you for having me first. Second of all, I honestly have like kind of grown to love the West Coast. And so there was no part of me that was like, oh, like I want to get back home or I need to get back home. So I didn't know the trade was gonna happen. I didn't know at all. And just the relationship I have with the girls, the relationship I have with Fareed, has been so important to me. So it was definitely like a bittersweet feeling. But the upside is that I'm going to a great team, a culture that's you could feel from afar. And I'm back home, so I'm so excited to like rep NY. I'm not gonna say New Jersey because it says NY. Oh, it doesn't here, but everything else says NY. And that's where I'm from. But I
Yep.
love just being back home and yeah, being back on the side. It's been such an easy transition.
Yeah. We're gonna bring the other two in here, but Allie, everybody earlier, Lori and Jeff were showing off their gear. I feel like you need to show us off your gear that you're wearing, this Gotham sweatshirt. How do you like the rebrand?
I love it. I think that like the team has been kind of like rebuilding itself in the way they play and the style. So it's so fitting that they kind of come out with this like new rebrand. I think it's fire, and yeah, I love it.
All right. Lori's gonna go next.
Yeah, well, let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about the rebrand on the field. You got 45 minutes, or close to it, on Sunday. You told us before we came on. Flew all day Friday, physicals and stuff. A little bit of training on Saturday, and then you get your minutes. Tell us what those first number of minutes. And like I said, the fastest road to a championship game ever. So congrats.
Is that like legend status? Like I really didn't do much. I really have to give it all to Gotham FC. But no, it's been such an easy transition. I think that, watching the NWSL games and seeing the way that they play and kind of like studying their style like before I even got there is something that I've been a fan of, and like what they've been kind of building. So the 45 minutes on Sunday was just kind of to get my feet wet, kind of get touches on the ball. I actually had an injury, like a small injury. So I never even played a game. So I was just like so excited to play. And so it's just great to, like get 45 minutes, play with the girls, and just kind of like start that relationship on the field.
Well, you got this new chapter, right? And back in New York here, you play in Portland, an old team, but I'm wondering, on the journey there, like we were joking about what Paul Riley said, and I was thinking you played for that New York Fury team in that gap year, and that was like the no pro league year, and I remember you talking about like I'm gonna make like I'm working toward the national team, right? And you just kept saying it, and it took several years. What's that journey been like? I mean, you're at this point now where you've got some of those winners medals. What have you felt like that's been like to get to this point? And I mean, from that point that you were at 10 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
It's been like the most rewarding journey. I think that, the feeling that like nothing was handed to me and I actually really had to work at it and kind of almost continually fail almost. And just like anything you're trying to be like great at or better at in your field, it just like, there's so many parts of my game that I needed to get better, that I wanted to get better. And so I think like when I actually did get my shot, I was the most ready that I would that I ever was. And I think previously it was like I would get called into camp. Like I had an injury when I was 21, and I like, that kind of just like instilled this drive, because that feeling of like representing your country and being there was such a like igniting feeling that that so kind of like drove me to get back this whole time. And I love kind of, I don't really love it, but I do love when coaches kind of doubt me and they kind of don't I have to prove myself to them. And so over the years it's just been a motivating kind of experience in a sense, and I really wouldn't have had it any other way, because I look back and I truly felt like I earned whatever that I was given, and like nothing was handed to me. And so it felt worth all of the pain and the tears and the happiness. It's been worth it.
One of the things I love about you, Allie, is in the off season, you talk about the pain and the tears, but soccer brings you so much joy too, and what football is to you and your family. And in the off seasons, you're always playing pickup and small sided with a bunch of pros in the women's and the men's game. What are those moments in the off season, and what have they meant to you, and how have they helped you perform as a player, and how have they developed you maybe as a person, and just realizing that this game should be fun?
Well, that's such a good point. And I think playing pickup is so much fun for me. But I think that, I think every off season I always evaluate the season I just had, go over like things that I want to work on, that I need to get better at. And so I actually like always love the off season. I always love kind of like, picking a couple of things and kind of just continuously working at it to get better and better. And so one of the things is always speed of play and playing faster. And so as soon as I jumped into these leagues that were all men, they did not care that I was a female. They did not care about like how I played or anything. So I actually felt like every game I was trying out for the national team, because literally I was the only girl in the entire gym. I was the only girl on the court. They're like waiting for me to mess up. Like people, I see them rolling their eyes when they see me like before the refs blowing the whistle before the start of the game, and I'm just like, yeah, and I love that feeling. And so, yeah, it's just been, and then besides that, just like being free to like just do whatever you want. There's no, I'm not in a position. I can do what I want and work on things, and I could have my teammates yelling at me and I'm yelling back, and it's just like so fun and just like pure football. So I love it.
Jeff mentioned you might have had a nickname with them as well.
La Blanquita.
Love the way you say it too.
Listen, can you get that on your jersey? Like, can that be your jersey in Gotham?
If you can get my name to be Blanquita on the back of my jersey, I will like literally do anything.
All right.
Okay.
We got to contact the higher ups of Gotham. I'll be on the phone for this.
Thank you.
Before we get into some even more off-field stuff that doesn't have to do with soccer, personally, and I know Jordan as well, having played with you, it's been fun to see like your maturity throughout playing as well. Like we were talking.
What does that mean, Lori?
Well, we were talking about off camera when you were late to national team practice because you overslept. Anyway, side note, I'm really curious. That was years ago. I'm curious though, what is it this year? What was in the off season that you were really looking to improve, and what are you carrying into some of the goals this season?
Well, I think like the Challenge Cup was really tough for me because I was getting these injuries, and I've never had muscle injuries, but I actually found out like something was up with my kidneys. So this past like off season, I was actually just trying to get them normalized. And so that was like such a different perspective, something I've never dealt with. I didn't even know like what was going on. I was just like, I feel like really swollen, but I don't know what. And then I was getting these calf strains. And so it was just like figuring that out, solving it, getting back. And then, I think I always think there's so many aspects of the game to like get better at, but like, what do I like really need to get better? And I think as a defensive mid, I think being a bit more of like attacker, and I think like I used to be more attacking like when I was younger, and then I have been more of a 6, so kind of just like get that back. And I think like it's natural for me, I haven't done it. So like just getting in that mode of, you know, like shooting from long range, dribbling a little bit, kind of waiting for pressure to come and then make my pass versus just playing quickly and switching the point. So I think it's more a little bit more of the attacking side, and then always passing. Like I just, you know, I'm always trying to be as accurate as possible, as efficient as possible, and kind of just get that pass off, you know, within 2 touches, 1, but 2 if I have to. And then my goals for this year, nothing changes. Like I want to kind of make a statement this year, and I think like I kind of missed last year that opportunity in a sense. And so, you know, it'll always be to play on the national team. That's never going to change until I basically die or stop playing. But, you know, I think that, but also kind of just like helping Gotham in any way that I possibly could, on the field, off the field, being a leader. I think I've kind of grown into learning how to be a leader, whereas before I didn't need to be. And so, you know, being someone that can like help this team, and I think this team can actually go really far. Just being with them the short time that I have, the culture that they have developed, and you know, I think the coaches Freya, Becca, Becky, they've done such a great job in like instilling a style and an identity. So just being a part of that and trying to be the best player that I possibly can, like every time I'm on the field. Thanks.
Like your stomping ground.
Love you guys.
Pro gamer. So what, I mean, fill us in on like what you're playing on here. And I've heard that you're like kicking some butt of actual pro esport athletes.
I did. Okay, I'm not gonna like hype me up or anything.
Well,
but
I think you can.
No, I did rep USA for like gaming. It was like me and like a pro gamer like that represented USA, and we played different national teams. So that was really cool. I actually never lost. So it was an aggregate. Like he played a guy on the other national team, I played a girl, and I never lost. Just want to throw it out there. He did, but he didn't let me down. It was teamwork. It's fine. But so like, yeah, I've kind of like done a little bit of that, but my game of choice would be Call of Duty. I don't know why. Like I actually hate guns, but it's just something that like basically, I don't know if you guys know anything, but like Battle Royale is like your squad versus every other squad in the game. So it's kind of like a World Cup, you know, it's like you versus everybody else, your little team. So I relate it to soccer.
Beat everybody, right? Is that the deal?
Exactly.
Is there any games that you just you'll go into a gaming event, but you're like, ugh, don't want to play this. It's not my fave.
I actually like don't ever play any other game, so I'm not sure what other games are out there besides. But like, if I have to do like an appearance, it would be only for Call of Duty or like maybe FIFA. But I would prefer Call of Duty. But a couple of them. Sorry, you go. Yeah. I forget what was that for USA. That was USA side. Yeah. But I did one appearance with a couple of girls on the team after the 2019 World Cup. It was me, JJ, Crystal, and Becky. And like it was so much fun. It was a couple of other like NBA guys and some other athletes and like all gamers to try out the new Call of Duty at that time. So it was really cool. Yeah. Ooh. Well, like actually, since I've gotten to like for preseason, we've had like 2 days and everything. Like I actually haven't gamed that much at all. I haven't streamed or really gamed. So I actually need to start because the next time I do anything, I'm gonna be trash. Listen, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. No, I don't know what's going on, you guys. I installed the best Wi-Fi for no lag for a reason, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Jordan is stealing your Wi-Fi. We do know what's going on, okay?
Jordan, give it back.
I've been here the whole time, so you're welcome, everyone from Twitch who doesn't get to talk about my Wi-Fi yet. Knock on wood. The other thing that we wanted to talk to you about, Allie, is we know you're a big Barca fan, have been for a long time, and you are doing something really cool with La Liga, co-hosting a show. How did that come to be, and why were you interested in getting to be a part of that?
Well, I'm such a big fan of like La Liga in general and just like the style of football that they play. And when they reached out to kind of like bring like La Liga to become more familiarized in the US, it was like a no-brainer to talk about soccer, to interview people. It's something that I've never done before, so I've kind of like grown to learn and actually like really enjoy it and just like pretty much have a conversation with whoever I'm interviewing in a sense. But it's been really fun and a good learning experience. And yeah, like some of the players are really cool to kind of talk to, and I'm excited about like potential people. I'm waiting on Sergio Busquets, so if you guys know him, let him know.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for him.
let me call him real quick and just let him know.
Can you please?
Yeah.
Sergio, so I'm waiting for him. He'll probably like call me or text me and tell me he wants to do it. So yeah, sure. But I'm waiting. He's busy. He has games, Champions League coming up. But yeah, so I'm just like, yeah, even just like to hear the minds that other footballers are just how they think and how they see the game. Like there's this one guy who like I was just asked, he scored 3 PKs in a game, and I was like, wait, I need to know, like, did you go to the same side every time? What was your thought process? What were you thinking? Did you look at the goalie? He's like, I just decided. I was like, no, I need like more information on this. So it's been such a good learning experience, and like La Liga has been great in like helping me kind of like learn this, I don't know, different like aspect of, you know, just I've never done it before, so it's been really cool and interesting.
Technique. Yeah. If you could plug one of your interviews that you've done and say, hey guys, go check this one out, which has been your favorite? Stumped her.
I think the most recent one I did, and I'm not going to tell you who because you actually have to go and look it up, but that was really fun too. He plays for Valencia, I'll give you that. But you have to go look it up and find it and watch it, and I'm not going to give you clues, but it was he was really great. He played against his favorite. I'll just say a little story. I know you didn't ask, but he played against Iniesta in his first La Liga match, and at this time he was at Celta de Vigo, and like what they do, they beat them, like I forget what the score was exactly. We didn't get that far, but we were talking about Iniesta all the time. But he basically, I was like, how did you guys beat Barcelona? Like back then they were like the best tiki-taka, like you couldn't get the ball from them, and they literally man-marked. They had one player the entire game, and they man-marked the entire game, and I just couldn't even fathom that. Like literally he'd be like, sometimes the right back was on the left side, the left back was on the right side. So I thought that was like so interesting, and of course he marked his favorite player Iniesta the whole time. So I think it was really interesting in his perspective, and we had a fun conversation. So yeah, go and check it out. I won't tell you who. Yeah.
Makes us tired just thinking about that.
Right? I was like, wait. What do you do for fitness?
Man, Mark.
Jeff or Lori, I can't see the Twitch chat for some reason. You know, it's one thing or another with me these days.
Let's check it out. Well, I wanted to ask too. We've got a Barca Chelsea Women's Champions League final, and you've got a little connection to both of them. I don't know if you want to make a pick there.
Ooh. I've watched Barca, the women, and I've been a fan of kind of like I've seen their development. And when I actually went to like a men's Barcelona practice, the women also, and just to see that like how they've grown and stuff. So I'm so sorry, Emma Hayes and everyone at Chelsea. Like, I'm gonna go with Barca, but I think also what Chelsea has done and the investment that they've put into the women's game has been incredible. And like I want both to win, but I know that obviously it's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna go with Barcelona, of course. But yeah, I love their style of play, and I have a couple of players that I really like watching. So I'm rooting for them, but Emma Hayes, sorry.
Emma's putting that on the locker room wall. Right. It's like a Paul Riley move.
Yeah, it is like Paul Riley.
I'm looking at the chat. I can't scroll too far. I've got one that's just come up. Has Carly invited you to play in her backyard pitch yet? Is a question. I don't know. Does she have a backyard pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
Nice.
Okay, no, but okay, first of all, no. But the
Rude.
last time I saw, there was like literally a million deer in the backyard. So
Yeah, eating the sod. Eating the sod.
me and Carly versus the deer, I'm down. Carly,
You might need a
invite
pooper
me.
scooper before you go out there.
Did I tell you? Oh, ew. Okay. Did I tell you guys what? Did I tell you what I told Carly in the game yet? Obviously not, because I'm just telling you now.
I heard
No.
you said on
Like-
the post game press conference. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know.
No, say it again.
Okay,
though.
so
Say it again.
Okay, so I obviously just got here. I'm not sure what's going on, and I heard that we need to win. So Carly's like, "There's like 10 minutes left. It's so hot. The turf's so hot." And she's like, do we need to win? And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, but in the back of my head, I knew if I said we needed to win, that like she would go off. So I was like, just to secure it, go off, Carly. Like I was like, "Yeah, we need a W." And like then I hear her, like 10 minutes later, like running down the side. I'm like, "Do we need to win?" So after the game, she's like, "Oh, you would say that." I was like, "I was just hyping you up, Carl."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was funny.
See, that's my favorite though. Just poking buttons and joking with people.
But like, I don't want to like use it too much, you know. So I was like, shoot, I gotta
Know the limits. Know the limits.
yeah.
Save the win for Saturday.
Pull one out for championship game. Yeah, we're gonna need to know.
Yeah, you were just saying about the Champions League final that you want them both to win, but you're in a championship on Saturday, and you don't want both of the teams to win. Give everybody the pitch of why they should watch this game on Saturday.
Are you kidding me? What better way to play a final in Portland versus Portland? They finished with the highest points. There's no place I'd rather play a final than literally at Portland versus Portland. There's gonna be goals, and I think it's gonna be super intense. I think that like you would be really unintelligent to not tune in.
You heard it here first, you guys. You heard it here first.
Like what else do you have to do on 10 a.m. Pacific time on a Sunday?
Well, nothing, because they're going to be intelligent and watch the game.
Be intelligent.
Yes.
That's my favorite quote now.
Allie, this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining us and for finding Wi-Fi wherever you needed to find Wi-Fi. We're excited for you and your new journey. I was going to ask to see the girlies, but they're not with you in the car, so you just give them puppy dog snuggles for us.
I will. They definitely would give you a kiss if they were here.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun, and I love hanging out with you guys. We could do this more often, maybe not live, but whatever. You let me know.
You're doing great live. What are you talking about? Okay, will you go
We're
rest
live?
up? What?
Just kidding. We're live. Just kidding.
Go rest up. I know it's been a crazy few days, and good luck this weekend from all of us to you. And I know that us three are going to be smart and going to be watching.
Of course. I mean, yeah. Good job, you guys. I knew I wouldn't doubt you. Thank you so much for having me, and it's been so fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Allie.
Of course.
Okay, everybody,
Bye,
we'll be back to preview that final that we just were telling you about in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. NWSL Live. I'm Jordan Angeli. What a fun guest Allie Long was. And you guys, don't worry. She knows that the championship is on Saturday. She said it herself. She wasn't ready for the live. And I think just skipped over her words there. But thank you in the chat. I've heard in our commercial that the chat was concerned that she might show up on Sunday, like Lori Lindsey called her out earlier in the show. All in all, that was so much fun. Lori, Jeff, what a good guest that we had on, especially with everything that transpired over the week, her getting traded, and then Gotham making the final. So it is going to be Portland Thorns hosting Gotham FC, a final that we're about to preview here in just a few seconds. And I felt like Allie was the perfect person. And we talked about not only her history in the game, but also how she enjoys it, how it's fun. And now she gets this opportunity to play in the Challenge Cup final at Providence Park. That flew by, the Challenge Cup. We have one more game tonight, as we spoke about earlier today in the show. So one more game here tonight, but this is for all the marbles on Saturday in Portland. The fans are going to be loud, and it is going to be a fun atmosphere. So looking to this one, I dished it out. I said, all right, you guys are each going to give us a preview and why these teams are going to win this championship game in the Challenge Cup. Take home some hardware. So I'm going to go to Lori first. Lori, you're leading with Gotham FC. Give us the preview and maybe some tactical things that you're looking for Gotham in this championship match.
Yeah, I think one of the things is this is going to be the first big championship, right? So I think there's some obviously some major excitement around that, but I also think it's interesting, and they're going away to play. They're going to be in front of some fans at a wonderful stadium in Providence Park, and we all know how difficult it is to play Portland at home. At the same time, though, I think there's that bodes well for them they have some individuals that have been in big games, but collectively they haven't, right? And I think you can go in there and just be fearless and enjoy that experience as well, with the least amount of pressure out of the two teams going into this game. In terms of tactical stuff, I'll be really curious about how this team starts in the midfield mainly. We've seen them go from a 4-3-3, so 3 in the midfield, to a diamond as well, and then back to a 3 in the midfield this past weekend. One of the areas that they talked about was getting more rotation amongst those midfielders, which they didn't feel like they had playing in that diamond. But I'll be curious how that works out because, now that they've added Allie Long into the mix, they have a plethora of attacking players, and I think it's just going to be about continuing to find what players mesh the best, and maybe for what games that might look differently. And so in this game, I'll be curious to see if they go back to that diamond to match what Portland is bringing. And the last thing I'll say is I think that they can hurt Portland in transition. You obviously have Midge Purse, you have Carly Lloyd up there. I'm still waiting to see some of that partnership form because I think it's been a bit individual in their attack. But I think those two will be marked tightly and concerned, and I think this could be a big moment for somebody like Monahan. Paige Monahan to step up. I really like her style of play and what she's brought to this team, and I think there's some real opportunities for her to be kind of a bit of an unsung hero.
The one other thing I'm going to lean on you, Lori, about this. Earlier in the show, you mentioned how Houston and Portland both have pretty good defenses. How do you feel like Gotham's defense has developed since, they did win that game against North Carolina, but they gave up a few goals. And since then, they've looked like they've controlled the game, at least defensively, a little bit better.
Yeah, when I spoke with Becca Morris, their assistant coach, who was acting as the head coach in yesterday's game against Racing Louisville, she was talking about this over the course of even dating back to last year. They've worked a considerable amount with those center backs and being aggressive and really pushing them to work to play out. I think one area that they're going to need to be mindful of in this game, because we did see them get broken down in it against North Carolina, is how high are they going to play? Because you have Simone Charlie, you have even Christine Sinclair with the timing of her runs coming out. Crystal Dunn, Lucy, Sophia. I mean, we know the names. They're in lists for Portland. So they're in on a much bigger field. So they're going to have to be mindful of how high are they stepping, when they're dropping. But yeah, they've come a considerable way. And I think they're still, again, working out some pieces. So this will be a big game for them. And they'll no doubt will be going in and winning, looking to win. But I also believe that they'll be looking at this as a marker to see exactly where they are in this.
That's a good point. But as Allie told us earlier, only one team can win. And Lori, I think that's a great preview of Gotham. And Jeff, you've been so patient waiting here. You're going to give us the preview of Portland Thorns, a team who took a lot of points through the Challenge Cup, the group stage. And this is a team with so much strength. What sticks out to you about the Thorns?
Well, I think you look at the comparison to other teams in the league in this Challenge Cup so far, and if you say, I think we've seen a lot of inconsistent performances from a lot of teams, and that should be expected at this stage of essentially preseason to some degree. But, you know, you look at the Thorns as the one really consistent team throughout this Challenge Cup. Mm-hmm. And I think that really stands out in terms of how much further ahead they seem to be than most of the rest of the pack. I think the Houston game notwithstanding, maybe because that was a very good game and I think a good matchup. But, you know, so we'll see what it looks like against Gotham. But I think they've been able to put things together early. You know, they've already dealt with some of the in and out of internationals within that little mini season of this cup. So, you know, I've been impressed with just the consistency and the consistency while dealing with absences. And that's been the case in the back, but also in the, you know, the front six as well. I think we've seen production. We saw it again against Houston with Simone Charlie, somebody who's stepped up and has, I think, been showing that leading into this season. And now we're seeing early on in 2021 that she's been productive. So, you know, and then we'll see, you know, I think we've gotten a little snippet preview of that big addition of Crystal Dunn, how she fits in with Lindsey Horan, the rest of the midfield. So, you know, I think the consistency above all has been there so far from Portland. Very long season ahead, but just the fact that it's been able to be there this early when with other teams, it really clearly hasn't been.
Yeah. Yeah, the consistency and they just hit the ground running in this tournament. I didn't tell you guys I was going to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask you each, if at the end of the day, Lori, you're going to stick with Gotham, Jeff, you're going to stick with Portland. At the end of the day, on Saturday, Challenge Cup is won. Your team that you're previewing wins the Challenge Cup. Who's going to be the MVP? Lori, you can start.
I mean, that's a good question. Midge Purse. And I go with Midge Purse because she wants to score goals, right? And I think the next evolution, as I was mentioning, between Carly and her will be to understanding that they will score goals if they start working together more often. Mm-hmm. But I think currently, until that really starts to solidify itself, and that could take a bit because there's going to be players in and out. Midge Purse is enjoying her time up top. No doubt is she going to be ready for this game. She's going to be fired up, and she is going to put this team and force them to ask questions of that back line for Portland, regardless of what happens.
Yeah. Good job with that. You didn't have time to think. Jeff had a little bit of time to think.
I got lucky here. But I like that pick. No, I think Crystal Dunn, if it's Portland, just with that, I like a good story, I guess. And obviously, you know.
Not you.
Yeah. So
you don't like a good story.
So I think that'd be a cool story. Obviously, the move to Portland. And, you know, if the Thorns were to win, her playing an integral role for the Thorns in Portland in a final early on.
Right.
And plenty of opportunity, too, the way that they line up, that it could be her.
All right. I like those. Good picks, you guys. I think those are could very well be the MVPs of Challenge Cup. So thank you guys for rolling with this. I want to just tell everybody tonight there's a game. Kansas City is playing OL Reign, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Paramount Plus. that game that we just previewed on Saturday, May 8th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, as Allie was saying. She said Sunday, but she meant Saturday. And it's going to be a great game. Make sure you check that out. And it's on CBS Sports Network.
CBS. Let's see that trophy too. I want to see that trophy.
CBS. This is on CBS, you guys. Big time. Let's be intelligent and watch it. Otherwise, Allie Long is calling you out personally. One last thing. Lori, Jeff, and I are going to continue NWSL Live through the 2021 NWSL season. We're going to let you guys know more about that next week and our preview show for the season. But we're going to change it to Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we're just moving back one day. But we're going to be here. And as always, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. It should be a good one this Saturday. There's a good look at the matchup. Thorns, Gotham. It will be a fun day at Providence Park. That is for sure. Guys, thanks for joining me. It was a good conversation, a really good chat. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining NWSL Live. We'll see you next week.